Nobody has more quarterbacks at the NFL Combine than Ohio State. I don't even know if that's true or not. I just know they have a lot of quarterbacks. They have their actual quarterback, William Howard. And I said, William, he's William now. It was funny. He's been Will Howard all year, and they put William on his name tag.
We did just do a video where we talked about Travion Henderson. He's now Trey Henderson.
Fast Trey Henderson, too. They also have Kyle McCord, who spent the 2023 season as their starting quarterback before transferring to Syracuse. And they also have Quinn Ewers, who was at Texas. Both of them transferred to schools that wear orange.
I hadn't thought of it like that, but they did.
I didn't know if you were supposed to do anything with that information
No,
or not either. I just
either.
passed the mic your way. Quinn Ewers never started a game. He only played 3 snaps as an Ohio State Buckeye, but he was considered the future at one point. We've been down this road before, right, with multiple Ohio State quarterbacks ending up in the NFL, ended up going down different paths, Joe Burrow and Dwayne Haskins, and it continues to be a conversation. Did Ryan Day, did Ohio State, did Urban Meyer make the right decision? And I don't think there's a wrong answer. Joe Burrow was a number 1 pick, a Heisman Trophy winner. Well, Dwayne Haskins threw for 50 touchdown passes in a year, but it's a constant conversation, and we now live in this world where it might become the norm. Right, the transfer portal is all over the place. Dylan Gabriel's been at multiple schools. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward have both been at multiple schools. In fact, I think if you rank the top 6 quarterbacks, Jalen Milroe, is he the only one who's only been at one school? Maybe did Jackson Dart spend all?
Jackson Dart was at USC before Ole Miss.
Okay, so yeah, it might just be Jalen Milroe who only spent his career at one school of the top quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft.
Oh, no, Shedeur had Jackson State, you're right.
Yeah, so this is the world we live in now. So this might not be the last time we have the conversation like this, but it's the first time we're having the conversation like this. Stefan, I want to start with you. It would be, what's the best order for these guys to go in for the sake of narrative for Ohio State in terms of draft order?
I think it's Will Howard, Kyle McCord, and Quinn Ewers, and I'll start with Will. I think having him go first would be a major thing for Ohio State because we know what Ryan Day can do with quarterbacks, right? Like we've seen him do all the routes. He brought in Justin Fields from the portal and turned him into an NFL quarterback, and that was different because it was more over the course of time, whereas Will Howard was the 1-year rental. We've seen him, work with Dwayne Haskins when Day was just an offensive coordinator. We've seen him develop C.J. Stroud kind of the traditional way, the thing that we're kind of expecting is going to happen now with Julian Sayin. The one thing that you really haven't seen Ryan Day do with quarterbacks is the 1-year rental. To come in and we're going to turn around, not only make you a national champion, but drastically improve your draft stock, which Ohio State has already done for Will Howard. I don't know how many people were talking about him as a true, day 1, day 2 NFL prospect at this time last year. So the one thing kind of left on the Ryan Day quarterback checklist, if there is anything, is that can he do it with a 1-year rental? And I don't think anyone doubted that he could, but now he's done it. He's proven it. So if there's a time where Ohio State feels again like they need a bridge quarterback or they need a 1-year guy, there's the tape. Come be Will Howard for that year if you're a guy in the portal. Like if you are the equivalent of a Cam Ward or something like that. If you got 1 year left, here's what we did with Will Howard. Now make your decision. Like it's on the tape. Kyle McCord, I put him at number 2 just because I think his career probably had the most Ohio State impact truly on it, right? More than Quinn Ewers. So I think what Syracuse did with him was outstanding, and he admitted that he was not in his best form. He didn't play his best football while he was at Ohio State. He was way better when he was at Syracuse. But a lot of what he did at Syracuse, you still pointed at Ohio State and said, well, he wouldn't have gotten to that point if he didn't learn from Ryan Day and from Ohio State. And Quinn Ewers, I mean, we learned that if you want to make a little NIL money before really starting your career, you can come to Ohio State. And we knew that already. But Quinn Ewers has it in writing, and he really doesn't shy away from talking about it, which I respect a ton. He was basically just like, yeah, I couldn't make money in Texas, so I was like, I'll go to Ohio State, make a little money, and then go to Texas. We knew you could do that, but I guess now we really know you could do that.
Yeah, but the context is important there. Texas's legislation was slow on the high school NIL, so he had no choice. But that's why he's so open about it. It's like, it's essentially, look, man, circumstance. Yeah. I don't know what you guys want me to do. I'm not leaving $1.4 million on the table. You wouldn't do that, so don't ask me to do that. Andrew, what's your order and why?
The same as Stefan, and the reasoning I think is because it shows a maximization maybe of talent and a maximization of what those quarterbacks kind of are. Like Will Howard played 5 years of college football. Obviously you could say, well, if Will Howard had another year, or if he was at Ohio State for 2 years or something like that, obviously there's that conversation. But this was like, he played this was his 5th year of college football. He played as a freshman. He'd played a lot of college football, and I think when you went into the year, you talked about Will Howard probably as, all right, 5th round guy, 4th round guy, certainly not day 1, probably not even day 2, and now we're talking about him as I think fairly solid day 2 guy. I think we'd all be fairly surprised if it's a day 3 pick, especially if it's like a later day 3 pick. I just don't know what college Will Howard really could have done to elevate himself to this is the best quarterback in the class, within the time frame, right? I think they got the most out of Will Howard. I think Will Howard got the most out of Ohio State too. So I think it was a great marriage in that regard. Kyle McCord, look, we're not gonna do this conversation of what would have happened if Kyle McCord was a quarterback, but I do think Kyle McCord kind of going in that middle round, kind of right around where Will Howard, obviously right behind him in this conversation, I think that shows, again, a maximization of what Kyle McCord is as a quarterback. I don't think anybody went into this year, whether he was going to be at Syracuse or Ohio State, and went, that guy is going to go first overall. That guy is going to be the first quarterback off the board. I don't think anybody was saying that about Kyle McCord. And then all of a sudden you look at these guys and go, you know what? Maybe they were just good college quarterbacks. They don't have to be record-setting college quarterbacks. Ohio State just had C.J. Stroud and Justin Fields and those guys and Dwayne Haskins. Those guys go in the first round. That doesn't mean anybody who doesn't go in the first round is bad. You could be a good college quarterback, and I think it just kind of shows they got the maximization there. The Quinn Ewers thing is just, I think, a talent identification thing, and it's, hey, this was a 5-star kid, the number 1 overall recruit. Maybe he comes to Ohio State, and maybe the crowds that we saw for Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, maybe those are at Quinn Ewers if he's at Ohio State, right, for 3 or 4 years, right? Maybe we're having that conversation. Maybe we're having a lot of Browns crossover podcasts where, Mary Kay and all those people are talking to us about Quinn Ewers. But that's just not the case. So I have Quinn 3rd. I think it's kind of in this in this rank. I think it's a comfortable 3rd, but I think it's Howard, McCord, and Ewers.
I mean, his crowd was pretty big. Like I said, it wasn't. It's just Colorado took over the combine.
Quinn also had the Ohio State beat.
Yes, he did.
Right. I mean, so did Kyle McCord too. So, to the point about record breaking, technically Kyle McCord did break the record. He owns the record for most passing yards in a single season in the ACC. So he did do that.
In the ACC, yep. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Joe owns it in the SEC and Dwayne owns it in the Big Ten. Which is why Devin Brown had a chance to do something really funny by going to a Big 12 school and rounding it all out. But he didn't. He went to an ACC school. My order's the same as your guys. It has nothing to do with any of those reasons. Will's got to go number 1 because he's actually Ohio State's quarterback. Right? It's that simple. All that other stuff, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's just that simple. He's their quarterback, so he needs to go as high as possible. Kyle McCord started as many games at Ohio State as he started at Syracuse. So, and he spent more time at Syracuse. This is not like Joe Burrow, where Joe Burrow likes to say, I went to school at Ohio State. I played football at LSU. No, you played football at Ohio State. You used 3 years of eligibility, started a game as a true freshman, and started 12 games as a junior. Right? He's just as much a one-year rental for Syracuse as Will Howard is. For that, Will Howard came here and engulfed himself in the culture in a way where the Buckeyes fans have just open their arms to him. But he's just as much a Kansas State Wildcat as he is an Ohio State Buckeye. Kyle McCord is a Buckeye, whether people want to accept that or not, based on how much he played. Quinn Ewers is not. Quinn Ewers, the Buckeye, is a trivia question at an open mic night one day. I'm serious. I asked him, hey, what'd you learn in your 6 months? He's like, man, it wasn't even 6 months. It was 3 months. Yeah. He called it a vacation, jokingly. He wasn't saying he was just chilling up here. But he's right. Yeah. It's something that, oh, yeah, I forgot that happened, right? It's something you go to a college festival and someone's randomly got on a Quinn Ewers number 3 Ohio State jersey, and you're like, that's fake. And he's like, no. Go look it up. He played 3 snaps against Michigan State. It's hilarious to think about. The other 2 had meaningful impacts, right, on Ohio State. So they have to go number 1 and number 2. And then the tiebreaker is, well, one finished their career as an Ohio State football player, so he's got to go number 1. And the other one's got to go number 2. While Quinn Ewers, it doesn't matter. This is it. This is the last time at this combine here in Indianapolis where Quinn Ewers and Ohio State have to be in the same sentence, because he's a Texas quarterback. Everything he did of any value he did at Texas and helping to revive that program with Steve Sarkisian. While whatever you want to think about Will Howard and Kyle McCord as talents, they have impacts for better or for worse at Ohio State. And so, yeah, I think I agree with you guys. That's the order of things. Will Howard, the actual quarterback, Kyle McCord, who started football games at Ohio State, and then a guy who just so happened to, because of a weird time in college football, have to come to Columbus when, quite frankly, he always wanted to go to Austin, Texas. Get the text 614-350-3315. Tell us your rankings and listen to Buckeye Talk, because we'll be talking about that there as well. Stefan, Andrew, Steven. That's not our order, though. I'm number one in our drafting ability, and they can fight for number 2 and 3. See ya.